Hello, welcome back to Storytime at Nana's House. I'm so glad that you're here right now. The story I want to share with you, it is The Princess and the Pea. Are you ready? Let's read. Once upon a time, a king and queen lived in a castle with their only son, the prince. The couple were old, and they knew the prince would soon need to take up the throne. But before he became king, the prince wanted to find a true princess to be his wife. "Our son is handsome, brave, and clever," said the queen. "Yet the years rush past with no sound of wedding bells." The king and queen sent the prince to travel the world in search of a princess he could love. He visited royal court after royal court, but eventually he returned home alone. "I searched everywhere but couldn't find a true princess," said the prince. "I cannot marry anyone else. I am sorry." So the prince gave up his search for a wife, and the king and queen continued to rule the kingdom. Then one day, huge dark clouds stole over the valley. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and rain lashed down. A chilly breeze whistled around the castle. By nightfall, it had spun itself into a terrible storm. "Come and sit where it's warm," said the queen from the fire. But as the prince took his seat, 3 faint knocks could be heard above the noise of the storm. The prince helped his father pull open the castle's great oak doors. To their astonishment, a girl was standing outside. "Good evening," she said politely. "May I please come in?" The prince was taken aback as he looked at the stranger. She looked so beautiful standing there, even though she shivered in the cold night air.
"What are you doing out in this storm, child?"
said the king. "I was traveling when I lost my way," replied the girl. "I saw your castle and hoped you might allow me to stay here for the night. I am a princess, you see."
"Please,"
said the prince, reaching for the princess's hand, "let me show you inside." "Thank you for your kindness," said the princess, curtsying. The prince felt his cheeks flush. Something about this visitor made his heart tingle.
"Her clothes are simple and plain," said the king. "And yet she claims to be a princess. Can that really be true?"
The queen smiled knowingly. "Leave this to me," she replied. "I was a princess once, and I know the perfect test. By morning we shall know the truth." Over the next few hours, the prince felt as if he could never tire of the princess's company. She had all the qualities of a true princess. She was kind, clever, funny, and thoughtful. Meanwhile, the queen lit a fire in the guest bedroom and fetched soft blankets and towels. "Your bedchamber is ready for you," said the queen at last. "Come this way." The princess followed the queen up a winding staircase. At the very top was a candlelit room filled with an immense 4-poster bed. The princess gasped. She went, "Oh!" There had to be at least 20 mattresses piled onto the bed, stacked up in a dizzying tower. "I do hope that you'll be comfortable," said the queen, pointing to the giant bed. "We don't often have princesses stay at the castle." The princess rubbed her eyes. "Thank you, your majesty," she said. "I am exhausted." The queen chuckled quietly to herself as she closed the princess's door. The visitor couldn't know what else the queen had prepared for her. At the very bottom of the bed, the queen had placed a single tiny green pea. "Sleep well, fair stranger," she mused. "Let's see if you are a true princess." The king, queen, and prince were eating their breakfast when the princess appeared the next morning.
"Good morning," said the prince. "Please join us."
The princess stifled a yawn. She looked just as lovely as she had the night before, but her face seemed pale. There were dark shadows under her eyes.
"How did you sleep?"
asked the king. The princess looked at her lap. "There was a hard lump in my bed," she finally admitted. "I'm bruised black and blue from it. You've been so kind, but I couldn't sleep a wink." The prince frowned with concern, but the queen had heard everything that she had hoped for. Much to the princess's surprise, she hugged her tightly. "We have found our real princess," she beamed. "Only a true princess would be delicate enough to feel a tiny pea through so many mattresses. Your precious bride has come to you at last, son." The prince had loved the princess from the moment he'd opened the castle door and seen her shivering in the rain.
"Would you do me the honor of marrying me?" he asked.
The princess's eyes sparkled with happiness. "Yes," she said. The king and queen could rejoice at last. There was going to be a royal wedding. The prince married his bride that very day. Every man, woman, and child in the kingdom joined in the celebration, and church bells rang out. The newlyweds stood arm in arm on the castle ramparts, waving to the people below. The king and queen could rest at last, for the prince and his real princess were destined to live happily ever after. This tale is true, but it happened a long time ago. If you are passing by the castle, be sure to visit its museum. There is a very special exhibit on display right at the back in a dusty glass case. Peek inside and you'll see the proof of a true princess. A tiny, shriveled pea. Do you see it right there? Oh my goodness. And that's the end. Oh my goodness, how in the world could she feel a tiny pea 20 mattresses down? My goodness, she must have been a real princess after all. It is time for me to go, but before I do, I want to encourage you to continue letting your light shine by being kind. Until next time, take care of yourself. God bless you. And remember, this Nana right here loves you. Take care.